248-539-9797. Let's get to Tony. He's out in Madison Heights, and he's up next. Hi, Tony.
Michael, great topic. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Of course. What do you got?
So, obviously, for me, the biggest comparison would be when Joe Dumars moved Mr. Big Shot, which was obviously, Mr. Popularity for the Pistons. And it's interesting with Joe Dumars because he really was the last GM that actually, pardon the pun, had the stones to make these kind of moves, and you look back at that move and AI, I mean, you see where he's going with it, but, AI went AI. But it was interesting with Joe because one of the moves that actually got him run out of town was when, he didn't listen to the crowd and caused an angry mob by taking KCP instead of Trey Burke, and how did all that one work out?
Oh, no doubt. And people like me look stupid. There's no question about it. I thought Burke would translate to the pros and at a minimum be a sixth-man energy guy, a closer. It just hasn't worked out. I look stupid. Yeah. Joe ended up being right.
Yeah, he certainly seemed like a gamer in college. But, it's interesting your point about the dream cruising of Detroit sports fans. Like, it really says a lot when really the one shiny object we have, if you think about the last 25 years, there's been somebody in contention.
Yes.
And this year, like the one thing we have to sit, camp our feet up, get the fold-out chair and a couple pops is the Stafford contract.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And when the Lions hopefully making the playoffs, and I'm optimistic, but when that's the best we got, man, it's strange times here. But, hey, keep it up, man. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it. Of course, Tony. And, Tony brings up that trade. What was really cold-blooded about that deal is behind the scenes, them getting Rip to sign his extension, and then 3-4 days later trading Chauncey. He never signs that extension if they're getting rid of Chauncey. And that really was the final nail in the coffin of the relationship, I think, between Joe and the team. And,
Chauncey!
Oh, Chauncey family. That was cold-blooded. But mind you, what's that, 8 years ago? I mean, that tells you something. That's where we're at. This city lacks vision. It lacks a boldness about it. Our teams right now, how committed to championships are these teams? Seriously, when you think about it.
I don't think they are. I mean, we haven't seen anything anytime soon. And you keep hearing from people, some guys just need time. They got to get their guys in place. That doesn't happen. You don't have the luxury of time all the time in sports.
Right.
So, and especially like you said, you look with what Cleveland did with Altman, and that's a guy who didn't have time at all, just came in and made this move. Right. So they got to stop with the excuses here.
5 years ago, he's an assistant coach at Columbia in the Ivy League. 5 years later, he's charged with making one of the biggest moves in Cavalier history. And he nailed it. Let's go over to Toby up next, 97.1. What's up, Toby?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, Toby.
I'm going to say, in my life, I would say it's one of two. I'd say it's Shanahan for coffee, but one I think was even more bold and amazing for Red Wing fans was the Chelios trade. The Chelios trade, getting rid of Erickson and a couple other scrubs that really weren't much of anything when they finished their NHL career. Chelios has been here for going over 20 years. In the organization.
Toby, it's interesting when you bring it up too, Toby. Think how long ago that was.
Well, I know. It was, 20 years ago?
Right.
Around there?
Oh,
and how many cups did he bring?
No, that's my point, though. Look how stale it is here. Look at where you're at as a fan. I mean, I don't you as a fan, Toby, just want to see a bold move, and whether it works or it doesn't, don't you just want to know that your team's willing to take a swing?
Well, yeah, I want to know if I want them to try. It doesn't seem like they're even trying. They're just kind of just letting it be, and they're kind of it seems like they're almost satisfied with what they have.
Well, and you know what? I think to a certain extent they are. I mean, the Tigers try. I mean, they did make a couple of moves. I don't think they got enough done. I don't think try is the appropriate word. But when you look at the Wings and the Pistons, seemingly they've just been waiting for this arena to open up. Just open the doors. Let them start printing money. The Pistons had a toxic season last year. Now they managed to kick the can down the road. KCP out, bring Avery Bradley in, don't have to pay Bradley until next year, and give it a shot. But how much better are the Pistons? if at all. Red Wings, forget about it. Kenny Holland has been treading water for no less than 5 seasons. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think if you expect cups, you're in the wrong league.
Oy vey. Let's go over. God almighty, that is one of the greats. We go to D, 97.1. What's up, D?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's the word?
You know what, Michael? I somewhat agree with you playing because, just due to the talent that these teams have, I think it's a little unfair when it comes to the Pistons right now because I just don't know, realistically who they're going to trade and who they can get back. I do get that this Cleveland-Boston situation was an anomaly because, both teams had a win-win. To be honest with you, both teams got something out of it. But, besides the Tigers, I really don't, help me understand what do you mean by them not being bold. I mean, what could they have done?
Well, I'll give you an example. A bold move would have been executing a Verlander deal. It would have been doing what's necessary to move that player. It would be pulling off a deal, a waiver deal after the deadline, and wow, surprising us and moving a Justin Upton. Or, again, whether it's the Wings. I mean, a bold move would have been at any point in the last 5 years trading a Datsu, brokering a Zetterberg deal, brokering a deal where you're not stuck with 2 goalies for $10 million. Doing something with the expansion draft with George McPhee and making one of these side deals to better your situation. I mean, D, there are many forms of boldness. We're just not seeing anything. You know what I mean? It's just so flat.
Yeah. It is flat, and I think it's kind of a toxic situation overall. It's just teams are boring. But the Tigers, more or less, I'm not a huge hockey guy, so I think more of baseball. The Tigers, more or less, I won't give them a pass to Verlander. I get your point, and I do agree that if they would have took some of the salary, it could have got rid of him. But, I don't believe that the return on Verlander, okay, I can see why they could have stood pat. I can see why they're trying to kick a can down the road, because most likely in their head, they're like, okay, can we get more from him now, more from him later? I don't know if we're talking a top 100 or top 50 prospect difference if they trade them now at the deadline or even after the waiver as compared to the off season. So there, I understand it. Now, when it comes to Upton, that actually may end up being a blessing in disguise, so there may be a chance that he may opt out this year.
Of course, and again, I just said, one of those after the waiver deadline deals. I just want to, and it's not just a Tiger thing. It's Wings, it's Pistons. I want to see some moves that are staking a claim and saying, this is our direction, this is what we're doing. We don't have that here. And whether it's guys that are overly loyal, whether it's guys that are trigger shy, whether it's guys that just can't get the job done, I don't know. I mean, I just look at it as a combination of all three. And the Lions are exempt because in the NFL, it's not a trading league. You might trade a draft pick. I know everyone's going to yell and scream about Sammy Watkins' trade, but year in, year out, you only see a very small handful of outright trades. The NFL is a league of acquisition through signing and through drafting. 248-539-9797. We'll get some of the people in the mix. I want to get to this college football thing, Sully, if we may. And you have all the parameters of ESPN's Fan Happiness Index. We'll talk to Michigan and Michigan State fans about this, and Sully will attempt to explain the metrics with which ESPN used to come up with these rankings. By the way, if you wanted to imagine it, Hatchet wearing a bright yellow Steelers hat today, and he looks absolutely sexy.